2557 IVanov Station. Location of Installation 03. Commander Lasky's shoes echo through the huge cavern embedded within an asteroid. IVanov Station was a complex facility, to be sure, clinging onto a belt of rocks that float in orbit of Installation 03, also known as Gamma Halo. Lasky comes to a stop in front of a large pillar of magnificent design. Silver metals and blue lights coated the Forerunner structure that now sits within the cavern. He places his hand on the metallic structure, feeling for any grooves or bumps that could be evidence of the object being welded or riveted together. But to his slight surprise, only cold, smooth metal could be felt. "Well, here you are, Doctor. Looks like it's tucked in tight." Lasky turns around, facing a woman in a white lab coat. Her face was weathered and her hair as silver as the pillar behind him. "This thing wasn't easy to move. I'm surprised Captain Del Rio even went forward with your plan." The old lady begins walking over to Lasky. A slight smile creeps onto her face. "Well, Commander, Captain Del Rio and I go way back." She walks past Lasky and observes the Forerunner device that stands proud. "Besides, he owes me." Lasky turns again to ask, "For what?" She looks back at Tom. "A story for another day, Commander," she chuckles. A harsh voice interrupts through Lasky's comms, almost startling him. "Commander Lasky, is the device secured and in place?" With haste, Tom replies, "Yes, sir, everything is in order." Lasky stares up at the tall structure as he awaits for the captain's response. Silence is once again quickly disturbed by the comms. "Then get back to the ship, Commander. These coordinates might just lead us to the Forerunner's very own planet." Lasky sighs slightly and looks back at the doctor. "Understood." The scientists circle the pillar, inspecting the marvel that now stands within her station. She felt so lucky to be able to investigate such an advanced alien technology. "Well, that's my cue." The skipper seems a little jumpy today. He begins walking towards a pelican, sat at the exit. "Thank you again, Commander." Tom, whilst walking, spins around, continuing to walk backwards towards the pelican. He nods his head and then continues his path. A Spartan stands in the passenger bay of the pelican. White armour with blue detail and a terror-filled cyan visor. The War Master helmet was truly a sight to behold. The Spartan reaches her hand out as Tom gets to the pelican, assisting him in the rather average-sized gap between the floor and the ship. With Commander Lasky on board, they were ready to leave. "Take us up, pilot," the Spartan says over comms, and with that, the pelican rises. This is Lasky to UNSC Infinity, reading multiple bad guys down here. Does anyone read? Tom shouts over an open comm channel in a desperate attempt to find more help. "This is Sierra 117 of the UNSC forward unto dawn. We're on station ready to assist." Static fills the sentence, creating only half-audible words. "Negative copy. Did you say forward unto dawn? Come again?" Lasky waits, anticipating an answer through the radio, but only dead air replies. The Spartan in white armour snaps her head at Tom as he repeats the words, "Forward unto dawn." She hadn't heard of that ship in a long time. She walks over to Tom, attempting to recommunicate with whoever it may be out there, but once again, only static replies back. "You said forward unto dawn. Are you sure that's what you heard?" Tom looks up in an awkward stance and replies, "I can't be sure, but it's what I heard." Banging can be heard as the Promethean knights slam with their weight against the sealed door the group of Spartans hide behind. Tom and Miranda both turn their heads in the direction of the room's entrance. If it is who I think it is, our day is about to get a whole lot better. The Spartans around the cave-like room have their weapons pointed at the ready, trained on the rattling door. Another Spartan in white scout armour approaches Tom and the other Spartan. Commander Keyes, our forces outside have been wiped out. We're the last remaining forces in this sector. Miranda picks up a shotgun that lies against the wall. Lasky, stay in cover. Lieutenant Palmer, activate the door controls. Spartans, ready yourselves. They won't expect us to reopen this door. We may catch them off guard. Lieutenant Palmer nods her head and walks over to the door, activating its release. She raises her weapon as the door slides open. Spartan Keyes is the first one to get the shot off, standing at the front of the door as it opens. A Promethean knight stands in her way. Her shotgun blasts a shell into it, knocking it back slightly as its shielding depletes. The other Spartans begin picking targets and firing at the waves of enemies that surround them. Another fiery blast from Miranda's shotgun destroys the knight, causing it to crumble into ashes. Their firefight began as the UNSC forces that remain fire round after round into the new enemy of this foreign land. Spartan casualties slowly become more frequent, and the waves of enemies pile into the area through the jungle's tree line. The forces were becoming too overwhelming, especially with the low munitions they had left. A crawler, avoiding gunfire, makes a charge for Lieutenant Palmer, knocking her to the ground. Before the Spartan can free her arms to push the creature, a blast of a DMR rings through the tree line. The bullet slices into the crawler's head, killing it instantly. Bits and pieces of the mechanical creature fall to the ground, and Palmer is free to recover herself. As more Prometheans make their charge, more shots from the tree lines decimate all that advance. As Miranda observed, her idea of who it could be started to become very clear. The fighting force of Prometheans had now split into two, one half shooting at the Spartans, the other half into the trees. With them split, it made it much easier to pick off what little remained. Palmer, confused, searches through the thickets of jungle to find the mysterious force until it became apparent. A Spartan with damaged green armour jumps out of the foliage into the middle of gunfire, flanking the front wave of Prometheans. Miranda's eyes widen at the sight. "It can't be," she says in disbelief. As the Prometheans are killed, the Master Chief stands tall and untouched. Commander Keyes walks over to the Master Chief without saying a word. His orange-coloured visor reflects hers, catching herself in the mirrored image. She takes off her helmet and slumps it to the ground. John comments with shock in his voice. "Keyes?" After fighting through the infinity and clearing the ship, the Spartans make their way back to the bridge to be debriefed, along with the Master Chief. Working beside John, cladded up in Mjolnir, felt unreal. Miranda was always blown away by how fast and strong he was. The two worked together, repelling the Covenant and Promethean forces, swiftly dashing through hallways, cutting down any threat, and reactivating the cannons that lie atop the ship. The Infinite's outer hull vibrates rapidly as the missiles launch all they could at the didact ship. As if it was a super explosive fireworks display, the barrage of rockets came to an end with a Mach blast. The noise could be felt rather than heard. Through the Mjolnir armour, it felt as if it rattled Miranda's teeth. John watches on as the didact ship retreats at ludicrous speeds. A sonic boom claps from behind the fleeing Promethean ship. It disappears from the horizon within seconds. Looks like that did the job, although it barely made a dent. Chief turns to face Miranda. No doubt he'll be back. We should relay what information we found back to the Captain Del Rio, Chief. Cortana interjects over the comms. Miranda looks around at the now destroyed Covenant ships falling in front of the Infinity. Well, follow me, you two. I'll take you to the bridge. The two Spartans walk towards the direction of an elevator. Chief slides his rifle on his back. Miranda copies, doing the same. Lieutenant Palmer, what's your status? The two Spartans step into the open elevator, Miranda activating the controls towards the same level as the bridge. The comms channel pops up on Chief's HUD, showing the face of another Spartan in white armour. Just rounded up Crimson Team and on our way home, Commander. The elevator begins its downwards motion towards its intended level. Glad to hear. Once back, I want you on standby for further instructions. Aye aye, Commander. The levels of floors flash on the controls as the elevator winds its way down. The ride was taking some time. Just exactly how big was the ship? John thought to himself. If he wanted, Cortana could give him those exact numbers within milliseconds. But the answer didn't seem important enough right now. Miranda turns her head, facing John. We all thought you were dead, you know. John turns his head at her direction. Her once smaller frame was now the same size as him. Not yet. Chief states, with a slight smile on his lips. The door of the elevator opens, revealing long, maze-like corridors. Signs and arrows labelled on the walls to display the direction of certain areas. Miranda steps out and begins walking in the direction of the bridge. Chief follows closely behind. Staff of the Infinity rush around, trying to get the ship back in order. Some stumble in shock at the sight of the almost mystical green, scorched armour worn by the legend himself. Miranda pays no attention to them, keeping a steady pace towards the captain's position. You're a hero back at the colonies. There's even a statue of you back on Earth. John replies, confused. Statue? Miranda chuckles slightly. Of course. And I'd want one too if I saved the galaxy a couple of times. She jokes in a light-hearted manner. They find themselves at the doors to the bridge. Commander Keyes stops before entering, turning to John. It's good to have you back, Chief. John nods his head. Likewise, ma'am. She walks closer to the doors. The grey-coloured metal slides apart, revealing a brightly lit room filled with more staff. An old man stands at the hollow table in the centre of the room. His angered-filled eyes stare at the two Spartans as they walk in. Thank you all for watching. I put what little time I have into these videos trying to create informative data logs of lore and passionate stories surrounding the Halo universe. It takes a lot of work and effort to create these. I hope you can all appreciate it. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more, then subscribing will ensure you stay up to date with my latest videos. If you want to let me know what you think, then leave a comment. If you want to reach out to me, then the best place to do so would be through Discord. We have a thriving Halo community that would also love to have you on board. I'm going to give a quick shout out to my patrons, which are John117Arts and Corporal Hot Pockets. If you would like to show more support, then joining me on Patreon would be a massive help to the channel. You'll also receive a shout out at the end of the video, as seen here. Anyway, thanks again everyone. Peace.